Hello guys, you're welcome to our YouTube channel. We are the Abrahams. We're so delighted to have you again on today's edition of addressing your fears and limitations about getting married. We know a lot of you are looking forward to this already. You have guys who are already planning for it, and they can share this channel with them and let them also learn a lot from all of this. And babe, isn't it like it's really marriages this season?
Yes, so like if almost like if you're not getting married this season, like Jesus Christ is just going to come anytime soon. So it's very important for you to quickly get married.
Yeah, so they're not married in heaven, no, it's very important too. And of course, if this video, if you feel like it's not yet time to get married, no pressures, still follow the videos, follow the series, and make notings in your notes.
Just get the knowledge.
Yes,
keep them in your archives.
There's no knowledge, there is no power. Yes. So let's go straight to where
no knowledge that is not
power now, isn't that weird?
Why did you not
there's a knowledge
like that?
There's no knowledge,
there is no power. You're English.
Okay, if you're new on this channel, please subscribe and click the notification button. We have a lot more exciting stuff for you to get in the next couple of days. And if you're a repeat guest, if you're one of us, if you're part of the family,
20 subscribers.
Yes, so welcome, we love you, and
thank you.
I want you to keep following, keep sharing, keep liking, and all the things. Comment too. It's not video. So we have a lot to cover today. So maybe, what are we doing today now? With all that we have to do today.
Alright, so this episode 4 of the series on addressing your fears and limitations about getting married. If you have not already seen other episode 1, 2, 3, please go and see them. We'll drop the link in the description section below so that you can get access to them, and you can just go through our videos. Yeah. The topic is addressing your fears and limitations about getting married. So you can just go through our videos and you'll see them there. They'll be very, very beneficial to you. So we'll just do a very quick recap from what we stopped last time, and then we'll just enter into what we have to do today.
All right, let me take that up. So last episode we talked about reaching out to like minds, unique people to help you financially, spiritually, mentally, and planning wise and otherwise, even to link you to other vendors. You also need to get a team, create your team around you, reach out to significant people in your life and ask, find out what role they can play for you. You need people. Also, we talked about the fact that it's wisdom to plan with what you have and not people's promises. That's very key. For better explanation of this, please go and check the previous
episode.
And also, we talked about not being pressurized to do things that are good, but to focus more on functionality.
It's important to focus
rather
on
than
functionality.
Aesthetics. Very important, so I can cut down every excess, everything. It doesn't have to be expensive to be functional, but it can be unique and beautiful. So don't be under pressure of what people say or what people will say, that kind of a thing. So, we have a lot to do. So let's launch straight into what we've got to do today.
Yeah.
And we're starting out with creating the budget. Isn't that so big? Yeah. Create a budget and setting the price range. I think we talked a little about this in the last episode.
Yes, I spoke about creating a budget, yes, in the last episode too. But today we just want to focus on that aspect of budgeting that has to do with setting price ranges.
Yes. Yes. So we shared the resource in, I think, the second episode. You can also share it again in the description and you will find it there. There was a spreadsheet that contained all the areas that we considered when creating our own priority list. And it's not just enough to create a priority list. For things that you need to purchase, things that you need to exchange value from, you need to set an estimate for it so that you can have a general idea of what you're dealing with. So don't just write, I'm going to buy a wedding gown, I'm going to buy a wedding suit. Also attach a a price range. And in that resource, as I was saying, it contains a column for estimated value, That's how much you estimated it to be. Maybe you have to
Resource.
check it.
What we mean by resource? Because I just say resource, like everybody's supposed to understand
Okay,
what you
I think
mean.
I said
Okay,
something about
so in the
spreadsheet.
last episode, I
Yeah.
think it was episode 2, we spoke
Mm.
about how that we created a Google sheet, like an
Yeah.
Excel sheet for
Yeah.
all our wedding expenses, priority,
priorities.
every single thing.
Yeah.
So that's what my husband is referring to as resource. Resource.
Spreadsheet. One spreadsheet.
Our Excel sheet, whatever. Yeah, so that's it. So
So
in that Excel sheet, we had all our wedding as every
Yes.
single thing. So, and then columns for
Yes, all of
For
this.
prices.
So I'm just talking about the columns in the spreadsheet, not columns in the building and all of that for architects. Okay, so the columns for each of these, you can check on it. You'll see the places where you can put the item, the estimated value, and then the actual value if you wish to keep, and which is necessary in any case. You can keep an inventory of all the things, the expenditure, and the total amount you spent after the wedding. So this column contains the estimated value. Maybe after checking with vendors, you call them, and you should do this earlier. I think we did that like over 6 months before the wedding. So we did our own estimate, and we estimated all that we need. You can check on Jumia for prices of suits, whatever it is that you want
or
to
you can
buy.
window shop
Yes,
too.
window shop, go around town and check you and your spouse, check for prices, check for best prices, and include it in your. In fact, that process, even if you do 6 months before, that process, it engenders faith in you.
Mm-hmm.
It enables you to no, this suit, regardless of how expensive it is, I'm gonna use this suit. This is what I'm gonna get, this is what I'm gonna buy. And your mind is built up and that kind of thing. I think you said there was one story you told about one lady.
Okay, so I like there was a time Pastor Jidu of Avestas was ministering, and he said that for single ladies, if you're desiring to get married,
Yeah.
that you should like go to a bridal store, try on the wedding
Yeah.
dress, and all of this. Said what that will help you to do is that would help to create the mental
Impression.
image,
Yeah.
the mental picture of that big day
Yeah.
in your mind,
Mm.
and that would go a long way in both steering the force of nature for that particular thing,
Yeah.
and also helping you to align to that particular goal.
Yeah.
And he mentioned out that the lady had tried that out according to the advice, and she had gone to a bridal store to try on the wedding dress, even though she didn't have a spouse at the time or anything like that.
Yeah.
But the lady was like, for the first time in her entire life, she could like that thing. It was more like he brought that event to her at the
alive.
time, and
Yeah.
she was like, "Wow! So this is how my wedding day could look like, you know, that kind of a thing."
Mm.
And that was where the lady's testimony started from.
Mm.
So we're not saying it's important. You don't have to go like me like this. I didn't go to any bridal store to go and try on any dress.
I went though. I tried how many suits I tried.
Yeah,
And I
that's
didn't buy the
you.
suit.
That's you, but me, I didn't have to do that. So what we're saying in essence is that it's just important for you to set prices, and you can also use that opportunity to exercise your faith
Yeah.
about the proposed event or goal that you're setting before you, which is getting married.
That's very essential. So guys, actually setting a price range is important, and I'm sure you'd like to say something like that.
Okay, so it's important that while preparing for your big day, your wedding, you set specific price ranges for every single thing you want to use. Don't leave them to chances. Don't say, okay, I already know I'll get this one. It's not just enough to, you know, when we spoke about drawing priority and drawing your budget, it's not just enough to list everything you want to do. Attach price, and let the prices you attach be I always advise that the prices that you should attach should be the maximum price that, in this for this particular item, this is the highest I would go. So that if at all you are exceeding the maximum price for any reason, you are exceeding by just 1 or 2%. Do you understand?
Yeah.
It's very, very important that you set prices for your dresses, even vendors, everything. Now, and one of the benefits of this is in relating with vendors, it will really help you to cut down a lot of stress.
Yes.
I used to give the example that during our wedding, when I was reaching out to the cake vendor that I eventually used, I mentioned that I changed my cake vendor just a week to the wedding. I will still talk about that in vendors.
Yeah.
So when I reached out to the lady, because I didn't have the time and all the back and forth,
So,
I just told her, okay, this is what I want. This is my budget. Can you work with it? Do you understand? So she was just like, okay, what if we tweet this and this and this one and this one? Then okay, that's fine. Work with my budget. So it will help you a lot. So like there was a particular cake vendor at earlier on reached out to rather. And the price she was even giving me for just traditional cake was already more than the budget I had for both traditional and reception cake. Do you understand? So I just knew this is not the vendor for me. So I didn't have to stress myself to say, okay, why don't you? Do you understand? So it can really help. Maybe you're reaching out to the decorator, for instance. Okay, how much is decoration? This is what I want. This is how I want it to look like. He gives this price. Okay, this is my budget. Can you work with it? It will really help you. And even in buying your personal effects, your dresses, your accessories, everything. So that you don't just go to market with your friends or someone or your sister say, if you're wedding, buy this one.
Yeah, so
and that's you understand? And before you know, and the reason why this is important, it will help you. It will help you to be disciplined with your spending, because if you are not careful, you would have spent like half your entire wedding budget on just buying few items. Exactly, because you were excited when you were buying it. After all, it's my wedding, it's my wedding, it's my wedding. So nobody is saying it's not your wedding. You should make your wedding a big day. Whatever the priority is to you, you should do it in such a way that you have all the fun that day. Do you understand? However, you should add wisdom.
Yeah.
It's just wisdom to add price. So even if it's your clothes, have a budget. Okay, my clothes is going to be $50. This one is going to be this. This one is going to be this. Specific prices, so that straight to the point, when you get to a place. For instance, if you buy it for your dress in Nigerian currency is 50,000 naira, and you get to a place where the dress there is 150,000, you don't have to waste your time there. You already know that clearly this is not within my budget range. Do you understand? And you just go to the next available place. And just like my husband and I said, I think it was in the last video, so there is always someone somewhere who is willing to work with the budget that you have and still give you that thing that you desire. Do you understand? For as long as your budget is reasonable, right? You're not drawing an unreasonable or an unrealistic budget. For as long as your budget is realistic, there's someone somewhere within your neighborhood who is still willing to work with your budget and give you the value that you want. Do you understand? So this is very, very important to help you guide your spending and reduce the stress for you.
Wow. That's the whole masterclass there. So I'm sure
come and pay for my masterclass.
You've gotten quite a lot from that.
$50,000
like students. You said, we can work.
Babe, I'm talking about my masterclass and I just ignore it.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't get that part. You were saying?
See, they should come and pay for my masterclass.
Yeah, of course, that's what I was saying.
$50,000
I'm managing too. I'm going to let me do the frosting. I'll collect the money, but you take 20%.
How will you collect the money?
Take 20%.
Your husband man that neighbor it must be the first particular.
Wait, what is the name of the thing you just mentioned? Husband. Okay, guys. So let's move. I think we've had so we'll share that spreadsheet, not resource this time. Spreadsheet and this thing, so you can have an idea of how it works, right down to the column where you can impute the names, the prices, the names of the items, your bridesmaid, all the things that you need to impute.
Your bridesmaid, your
all
groomsmaid, their name, everything they need.
Right there in that. And you can always improvise and make it even suit your taste.
Yeah.
That's the way we thought. We loved it. So let's move on to the next issue. And then what do we have next?
Vendors.
Alright, vendors.
So you should go first. Or should I go first?
Please go first.
But I was the one I just finished talking. I make it look like I talk too much. No, go first.
who doesn't like dealing with vendors? I mean, there's no way that you're going to do anything that you won't make with vendors. Vendors are people who undertake your, in fact, right down to maybe your plan, your event planner, if you decide to have one, or right down to the person going to cook or all of that. You know what vendors represent. I think and vendors are very important. They're an important part of your day, of your wedding ceremony, your wedding event. Yes, they're an important part. But also, they can make your day, or they can mar your day, depending on who and actually the criteria with which you choose them. I think in this society, we're like sometimes number one, you have to cut down prices or to appeal to people's emotions or just to say this person is part of us, so let him do this one for us. I remember a friend complained it was after his wedding that they found out that they couldn't have wedding photos, even though they even though they had paid the vendor, they had done everything for the vendor. It was then the photographer knew that his lighting was poor.
I don't understand.
It was then the photographer now knew that look, the lighting that he used for that event was poor.
So the pictures
came out
very
terrible and they were unusable. So bad that the family had to organize another time out to go to the photo studio and go and take new photographs. Look how miserable after paying and all of that. So what I'm trying to say is, number one, you must do your homework well when it comes to vendors. That a friend told you about someone who can do something does not mean the person can do it. Yeah. Everybody can do something at different levels. Do your research first of all. Find out who is this person. He's a friend of my friend and is my friend and his friend's uncle, something. Okay, thank God for that person. We're not saying he can't do it. Where is his portfolio? How much has he done? How far has he come in this work that he wants to do? Is this his first time out? Is he using it to do sample testing? Those are things. Go on their Instagram page, find out who they are, find out what they are capable of, find out who they've worked with before, the quality of their work. Go on Facebook and find out who they are. That's number one. Do your homework. On my part, do your homework. Again, I also say that we should not be sentimental when it comes to choosing vendors. So the fact that a family member of yours, and that is very right in this Nigerian society, because a family member of mine can do catering. So I take on the person just to be on his side. No, that's not necessary. I think when it comes to business, you have to put aside sentiment or anything that has to do with the emotional level. Can this person deliver? Even if it's a family member, can he deliver? So find that out too, and make sure that the person is not just because there is a relative or a relation of yours. So you're trying to enlist them to buy them on your side. It may be disappointing. Like I said, vendors can make or they can marry your deal. Another point is, don't be under pressure, particularly as you get close to the day. Don't be under pressure to attend to all particularly financially, attend to all the vendors all at once. Now the truth is, some vendors will come to you and look, you must pay 100% right on. And you may not even have up to that 100%. As early as possible, you can try to reason with them. And look, I'm going to give you 50% now, and I'm going to balance it. And usually, on my own side, I think that, particularly with respect to artisans, people who do stuff, what do they call it now? You should try as much as possible. It's not, I know it may feel look a bit wicked or sadistic, but don't give all sadistic now. Sadistic is sadistic.
What is sadistic? We mama no you want to speak forward.
Okay, it may sound wicked, but don't give vendors 100% straight up of the money of the funds that they ask for. Usually, some of them will not deliver. Oh no, not that. That is not the problem. Now, some of them will not deliver, and the very fact that they know that there's still some money with you, that they still have some balance from you, will push them, number one, to take their work seriously. This is the Nigerian society. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying. To them to take the work seriously, the delivery seriously, and also to know that look, if they fail to deliver, they're not getting their balance, or they're not getting all their balance. So if my friend, for instance, for that photography thing now, if you had given that photographer 100% upfront and he hadn't seen the outcome, I'm sorry, photographer has carried the money and has gone. This is Nigeria. Even if you carry police and all of that, in the end, probably it won't just turn out well. So what I'm just trying to say, don't be under pressure to give them 100% upfront. Try as much as possible. Give them maybe 70, give them 80, and tell them that look, their balance is after they've delivered excellently. That will push them to deliver a great job. What do you think, Vic?
Okay, let me start. Why are you saying this is Nigeria? Nigeria is a good place.
Of course, Nigeria is a good place, but our values
Nigeria
are
is a
different.
great
We
place.
think differently here. So that's you have to consider all of that.
Please, I treasure my country a lot. Anyway, guys, back to the vendor issue. Okay, so let me say this. When it has to do with vendor, just like the point we raised then, you must focus on functionality. So, my husband mentioned the point, maybe they are just starting. Sometimes a person might just be starting out and still deliver very good.
Yeah.
I remember my ushers for my ushering service. I remember our first event, we delivered like 80% above what we were paid because we were just starting out and we wanted to create a good impression. Like we did far more excellently. In fact, we took up roles that were not even supposed to have been our role. You understand? So when talking about vendors, it's important that you look at functionality and don't allow your sentiment drive. Particularly, you see, avoid any vendor that you cannot like talk to, like express yourself to. Oh, because the person is your daddy's friend, your mommy's colleague somewhere. If you're going to be the one interfacing with them, you're paying them, you're interfacing with them, you're the one telling them what you need. If you will not be able to, express yourself the way you want because of whatever sentiments already attached, please don't use that kind of vendor for your own good. It's very important. I remember at one time there was a wedding and we needed the decorator to come decorate the bride's car or something like that. And because I don't know, the woman was kind of elderly and everything. And so even when we were calling her, the bride, they're ready for church service in the morning. Where are you? She was just talking and the bride could not really, she didn't want to express herself for the sake of respect, all the Nigerian thing. Mentality. All the Nigerian mentality of respect and everything. At some point, I really go and be like, what's all this? This woman has been paid for this service, so let her come deliver it. Do you understand? So, whether it's the person, if you want to maybe sew your wedding dress, for instance, whether it's the person sewing your wedding dress, whatever vendor, any vendor that you cannot express yourself to and say, no, this is not what we bargained for. Maybe it's the person designing your wedding dress. Oh, no, this is not what we picked. Come out straight. Don't, any vendor you cannot express yourself to like that, please don't take them. And catering, most of the wedding that I have gone, where family members have handled catering, even though they were professional caterers, it actually ended up in disaster. Sorry, it actually ended up as a disaster because there's this sentiment. Then when people in the occasion see that, oh, this person they know, they just then a fight to break out. My English today does come out because of these points that I'm discussing. And all of this. So it's very, very important that you focus on functionality. Again, Instagram vendors, online vendors, they are good, but be very sure that they can actually deliver the value. And let me just say this. There are celebrity vendors. Or when it has to do with makeup, for instance, photography, there are celebrity vendors, and you're looking forward to getting a celebrity vendor to do your makeup so that you can say, oh, the house of so did my makeup, bride of house of so, or photography or everything. In as much as that is good too, you must also focus on functionality, just like I said. So celebrity vendors are so proud that they make it look like you are the one seeking their help. If if you're buying something from someone, the person you are buying from gives you a level of respect. Like, oh, this is my customer. What do you want? But for some of them, they don't do that because they are celebrities and people are calling for them here and there. And just like I said, you don't want that because this person is offering you a service. So you should be able, out of respect and mutual understanding, to tell the person, this is what I want, this is how I want it. Correct the person when they are not delivering what you want. Do you understand? So it's very important. Vendors can make or mar your day. It's very, very important. Just like my husband said, please don't plan to owe any vendor till disaster. Plan that within your wedding day, already prepare the balance of every vendor, or just a few days after. Do you understand? Already prepare their balance. However, just like it was my husband that told me this during our wedding, and I eventually discovered that it was true. Don't pay all vendors upfront, unless of course the services they are delivering to you had been delivered, like the person sewing your dress. You've gone to test the dress, fittings and everything, so you've seen it. So there's no point owing the person. Please, you don't want to wear a wedding dress and you're still indebted to the person. Do you understand? So please just pay upfront. But for people delivering services, the decorator, the photographer, things like that, make sure that maybe you're paying 60-80%, however small, still keep something behind, even though you already have it kept somewhere. But still, so that when you see their service, you can say, no, decorator, this is not what we discussed. We discussed that this would be this, and you didn't bring this particular item. Because of that, I'm removing so item, so that you will not just be
a victim.
Exactly, and you will not be the only one losing entirely at the end of the day. So that at the end of the day, you didn't get your services done, your money has still gone again. So it's very, very important. Please don't let your mommy pressurize you. You know how African mom, that girl, she can't do it. She's the daughter of my friend, of my Kinikon, colleague Kinikon. And during our wedding, what we try to use saying as much as possible, because my husband and I are people who believe in that, the circle that you belong to, it's important that we do things to help one another. So what we try to use people in our circle. This just personal to us though. However, those people delivered, they didn't even say because they were our friends. They delivered excellently. I mean excellently. The person who did customized teas, other things, even the photography and everything, he delivered excellently.
Guys, have you seen her wedding gown? My
wedding dress, oh my god. My younger sister actually designed my wedding dress, both the traditional outfit and the wedding dress proper. And then I had a tweet to my wedding dress that made it reception dress afterwards.
I watched the video, it's in one of the videos.
Just watch our traditional video, you will see the dress for my traditional dress there, and then very soon we are going to upload our wedding video. And please patronize my younger sister. Yes, my brother people actually Hilary Atelia on Instagram. You can just follow on IG, Hilary Atelia. I will drop a link in the description section. So what am I saying in essence is that even though those people were acquaintances with us, they still delivered excellently. Do you understand? So even if you are like my husband and I, who believe that it's good to empower people within our circle, if what we're doing has to do with something we can offer, still make sure, don't carry the friend that say, I have to run. Don't carry those kinds of friends as your vendors, please. Still make sure that there are people who also have personal discipline, who would also deliver the value that you want.
Excellent. So the next point is, be sure that your fiancé and you are on the same page. Do not allow family and friends to come between the two of you. Your decision uniformly agreed upon is
most important.
Wow. I think this really just emphasizes, should I go first?
Yes.
It really emphasizes the power of unity. Because whatsoever, as the Bible says, whatsoever the two of you shall agree together, and that kind of thing. When you agree, you and your spouse, they agreed on something regarding something, you should stand your ground. Now, this is not to stand your ground to the point of disrespecting your parents, respecting all those who are doing and all of that. But reasonable under certain reasons that look, this is what we want for our wedding. It's our wedding, and we are deciding that this is what we want. We are deciding that this is how we want it to go. And yes, this is the Nigerian society and setting and all of that. But when people know and find that, look, you guys are both on the same page on regarding this issue. So the guy goes to your parents as a lady, he says something different there, and then when you and him are talking together in front of them, you guys are saying something different. Your parents can sense that, look, this thing that people are talking about, we can still have our say in this thing because people are not sure of what you want. So we can help you to decide what you want.
Exactly.
But when he goes to your parents' place, he says one thing. On the phone, when you guys are talking together with your parents, you say the same thing. Mentally, they know that, look, these children, they decided what they want to do. Let them do it. Even God, when we were told about the Tower of Babel, all people were of one mind, and they decided that we were going to build this thing. God came down and found these people, the way they decided with one mind, they are going to do this
if
thing.
I don't scatter them, they would achieve this particular.
So that's such a power of unity. So I think this also buttresses the point that no matter the case, even if you and your spouse have not decided fully about something, still present a stand.
As though both of you
still present a stand before your parents. When maybe one party goes to visit the other party's parents, or I'm with my parents and you come visiting her, or when maybe you're not around and I go to my parents, and so I'm able to tell them, look, we've not decided. But I'm not going to appear to them as though we're undecided. I'm going to appear to them as though we're decided. It's very important. Don't go before as a fiancé or as the guy or the lady. Don't go before either of your parents, whether your parents or whether the people that matter significantly for you. Go to them as though you're one. Very, very important. It's foundational actually to your marriage. It's foundational because if those kind of things start happening early in your marriage, before your marriage, it becomes. Wait, let me allow you to say something.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so my husband had already addressed that issue from a angle. I want to address it from another angle. Yeah. So it's very important that you and your spouse are in one accord. The Bible says can two work together unless they be agreed. Now, in African setting or in Nigerian setting, the moment you say you want to get married, it's almost like there are a lot of forces that just build up against you, in a way. Even people that you don't expect, certain vibes from, they can just begin to give you all kinds of vibes. It's almost like it's almost impossible, it's almost impossible not to have someone who is just giving you that vibes of envy, strife. I don't understand what marriage is. It that they used to give money after you marry or something?
I don't know.
I'm still here to
somebody must stand up.
So whatever the case is, whatever resistance, whatever negative vibe anybody's trying to throw at both of you, you must be unified. Because usually there's one brother, maybe brother of your fiancé, they could even be direct family members or something. Somebody has to say something about the lady and say, she's not even good enough, she's not even respectful, and then the guy is not even shaking it on. Don't allow that, because you are in a significant time in your life. You people are planning together for a new phase that should launch you into an entirely new season for you people. So you people have to be careful not to allow any of such negativity in between you. Because for some people, this is where the undoing of their marriage started from. That's why, after all, during this thing, Uncle Agbada said something about you. No. You're the one who saw your fiancé. You're the one who saw the lady, who saw the guy, who said, I believe I can spend the rest of my life for this. Don't worry, guys. Subsequently, we'll do a video about values, getting a spouse, things you should look out for. But at this point, we want to believe, or we want to assume that you've already ticked all the important boxes before you came to this particular agreement, right? So you should be able to work together with your spouse. Don't let anybody sow a seed of discourse in between you two. It's very, very, very important. Whether they are doing it subtly or they are coming out to do it openly, you have to be. And sometimes, if you have to speak up and say, "I'm sorry, uncle, but please don't, my fiancé, I don't." See, these things are important. In as much as you have to find the balance between respect and self-worth. And people must know that you know the balance between respect and self-worth. And when people know, they will cut you some slack. Do you understand? There are certain things that they will not bring within your jurisdiction because they already know this person would not take this. So it's very important. Don't just let everybody throw everything at you and your fiancé. Plus, you want to be spiritually discerning at that time, because I think one of the reasons why there's a lot of strife and stuff like that when you want to get married is because Satan understands the union. He understands the purpose. Not like purpose. Sorry, I don't mean purpose, but he understands that the coming together of two people, man and a woman, who are visionary means a lot.
Yeah.
So it kind of tear opposition, and of course those oppositions have to have human representative in order for whatever he wants to come to fruition. Do you understand? So those human representatives can begin to stand up. So you must understand that the primary motive is to tear or sow a seed of discourse between you and your fiancé, and you must not allow that. Pioneering is, whenever there's a disagreement or anything, make sure that both of you immediately try to find a means to sort it out, and make sure that your agreement is most important. Don't, for some people, particularly in the African setting, we do some things like you can almost call it witchcraft. For instance, a mother could think that, oh, there's a particular thing I want, and I want to make sure that this is what happens as concerning this wedding. And she can start emotionally blackmailing her daughter. You understand African mothers now? No, let's do it like this. I'm your mother. I cannot allow any evil thing to happen. Even though that thing might not be to the benefit of your spouse. So maybe it's just for our own benefit, for instance. And now you are beginning to feel like, and now she would now use the lady, her daughter, to fight the fiancé to make sure that thing that she wants is what stands. Do you understand? These situations can be quite tricky. Yeah, but you have to have wisdom. Don't allow that. Do you understand? So I understand that's what family members try to do. They try to use one party to fight the other party to agree with what they want. You understand? Which is not right. Please don't sow a terrible foundation for yourself. The Bible says, if the foundation be destroyed, what shall the righteous do? And that's why they always believe that even in your marriage, they always have a say. They can just show up anytime. Exactly. But when they know where you stand, they already know that, no, these people, the mutual respect and peace will be there. So please don't allow any of such things. Make sure that, okay, both of you must come together and say, in this marriage, in this planning, whose decision is most important? You say, okay, our decision uniformly agreed upon is most important. So that means that you're considering your parents' decision too, of course. Say, okay, this is what daddy wants, this is what mommy wants. You are fitting it into your plan. But if there's any other thing that is obviously outrageous out of that, both of you must stand together to say, no, this is not how we plan for it to go. And when people are trying to sow seed of discourse or something, when people are trying to steer you, no, your fiancé is not bringing enough thing. Our different tradition, Yoruba, Igbo, like that. Not bringing enough thing. My friends, I know what they used to marry her. They even bought a car. Then you're not feeling like your fiancé is not even doing enough. The young man has been hardworking. All this hustle for 5 years, so you know, say, Baba won't spend everything now. And yet, they're making you feel like it's not even doing enough. It's not. That's not right. You don't want to. Please. Wisdom is the principal thing. The Bible says wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, in all you're getting, get wisdom, and in all you're finding, get understanding.
Praise God. The woman of God has spoken.
Don't mind my husband. What is the honorarium?
No, they will see you in the back office. See you in the back office. Okay, I think this point is also a follow-up to that. I say be determined about what you really want and stand your
I
ground.
think what mentioned
The
that
pressure
it's also good to
amount.
extended family.
So next point is family influence on weddings with respect to traditional rites. Now, traditional rites in the Nigerian setting, the African setting is something that you cannot usually not do without, because each of the ethnic groups, in any case, I mean Yoruba, the Igbo, Ijo, Efik, and all of that, they all have cultural roots where they stem from. And usually in Africa, everybody feels they have to reconnect to their roots. So traditional rites, I mean, you have to bring certain things for certain family that the traditional usually maybe of course there are civilized families in Nigeria that don't even require any of
But
that.
even civilized family, you still, for instance, in Yoruba, if you want to do a traditional wedding in Yoruba, somehow they'll still bring all those women that they call gauge. You will still dance, and we are walking con, all those things. They're still part of traditional rituals or rites that you do for weddings. Yeah.
What I'm just saying is it possible that there are certain families, for instance in Nigeria, that they just believe, look, it's no need for all of this. You want to keep a child married and get married. Okay, let's go and do the white wedding. No need for all the drama.
Maybe they are no longer Nigerians, or they are now living in Great Britain, because this mentality is so now. Their families are really civilized. You understand? Everybody has gone out, exposed, but still doesn't mean that certain interesting parts of that tradition will still not feature in the weddings. For instance, even people who are already civilized and everything will still want their children to do the traditional wedding, whether it's Igbo or Yoruba, they still want to decorate their children in that traditional attire and spend expensive. Some people spend a lot of money on that particular traditional, just attire and everything, just to show the tradition, and then sing some traditional song, dance. Now those are harmless traditional rituals. They just believe that these things are beautiful. It will add color to the wedding. Yeah.
Part of the culture. But I think there are times when they begin to get quite over the board, and
that's really our focus today.
Yes, that's where we're looking at. So usually you and your spouse before this time have already considered the possibilities of this thing, having researched from your own background, both parties with research on each other's background. These are the things that are obtainable in my background. How far can we go with these things? Are all these things doable for us? Do we want to adopt everything that is here? Or we want to talk to our families or want to make certain modifications to certain things that we consider extremes? And this is the place where your values come into play.
Yeah.
What are the things that we both stand for? What are the things that we both consider or deem highly with respect to our values? We as Christians now, we consider certain things in our own family traditions at the extremes. Now we began to look at the scripture. Being Christians, we can't accept this kind of thing during our wedding. So we are standing together to insist on this. Now, usually parents get emotional and sentimental because they've been in this system for donkey years. So they feel like, look, it's what our grandfather, it's what our fathers did, it's what we did, it's what you must do. Now there are certain things.
Not all parents do, but some.
Some parents can get really sentimental about this and emotional. But there are certain things you can do to turn the wind in your side, and we can share that with you. But let's talk a little more on this. So there are certain ceremonies within this traditional rite that seem extreme. So you and your spouse have to consider what works for the two of you. What's acceptable to both of you, and stand by it. Present it before whoever it is, whether the parent or the bride, present it and say, look, this is what we believe in.
How far we can go.
And this is what we want to go with. This is how far we can go with this. So I think that is very important with respect to traditional. So in trying to change that, in turning that in your favor, I remember there was this story about someone you told me once ago that a lady got.
Okay, the woman of God, Mama Rex.
Oh, yes.
And Calabar who gave the example. One time I was listening to her, listening to her, and she was talking about something like this, like how to handle spiritual, traditional rites that have to do with the wedding and the beginning of your life for various cultures. She gave an example of a spiritual daughter of hers who had been waiting on God for a while, and eventually she got married, and then people were like, in our tradition, if you want to get married, you must do this, you must do this, certain rituals. And Mama Res said she felt that those things were rather extreme. And she tried to speak to her spiritual daughter now that I don't think you should subject yourself. But sometimes there's a way that, because particularly maybe if you're waited a while before that thing, eventually you're like, let me just do whatever they want, just for peace to reign, and let me just so that I can have faith. It's very important. My husband said something in one of the episodes where he said it's important that you consider for things that make for your peace even after the wedding. So don't subject yourself to certain spiritual rituals that would eventually bring negativity in the long run. So it's not enough to say, I don't want to offend them and just for peace to reign, let's just do it. No, you have to know when to stand your ground, and you should be able to stand your ground. You understand? So I think in the story, Mama Rex said eventually the lady did it, maybe some kind of ritual or something, and eventually had a negative effect, maybe barrenness or something. I can't remember the exact story, but something like that in the long run. Sometimes those people propagating this rights, they don't even know
the origins, the source,
exactly,
the purpose.
Exactly.
Something
They
that
don't know how spiritually intense those ritual activities are. But some family, for instance, they're like, okay, before they want to get married, they have to kill a fowl and use the blood to circle her head and say certain things. And all of those things. And this is why, although I think we'll do that video very soon, while considering values when picking spouse. So it should not be that you are the only one against it. Your spouse is like, what's there? That's how everybody in my family do it now. Because I think there was a story one time that I read, it's been a while though, maybe the guys, I think it was even the lady, and the father of the lady happened to be a bishop.
Wow.
But they have that traditional right they always do for their daughters when they want to get married. Something with blood and sacrifice and stuff like that when they want to get married. So it's not about who is religious or who is not religious. If these things serve as extreme to you and your spouse, you have to stand against them. Withstand them, yes, that's what I meant to say. You have to withstand them. So all those extreme things and everything, you have to, and let it not be that you are the only one standing against it, and then your spouse is saying, speaking to the mother, say, I've told her, speaking to her, she's too stubborn. What's the big deal there? Or is the lady saying, don't mind him? What's the big deal there? Just for him to come and bring something to the family altar and let's kill and let's, all of those things. So it's important that the person you are married, both of you see the word.
Yeah.
Many years ago, I wrote an article, like I posted on my WhatsApp page, and I said, two stupid people, for as long as they both agree to remain stupid, would have a wonderful marriage. Agreement is key. For us, so what I'm saying in essence is that agreement is key. Let it not be that it's one person who sees that as bad and then the other person doesn't. And it's also very, very important that you are not, you don't allow anyone to put you under undue pressure to say, oh, you have to, and then you're like, oh, let me just do this, for peace to reign. Some of those things have intense spiritual implication that can come back in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. So it's important, like my husband said in one of the episodes, that you look for things that will make for your peace after now. And you're building a new foundation. So be very deliberate about what you're putting into your foundation. So, babe, what do you think is the best way for couples or intending couples who find themselves in this shoe whereby there's a particular traditional ritual that the family wants them to do, but they feel it's against their value? What do you think is how do you think is the best way to address it?
Okay. For me, I think first of all, and this should have been in the initial stages, both parties, both the people in the relationship know that their values align. They've discussed about this. This is what I stand for. This is what I do not stand for, and this is what I can take with respect to right. And of course, you guys have done your homework. You found out what is obtainable as traditional rights in your family. You found out everything as much as you can, and you interact, you share ideas with the other person, you share it with the other person. And look, oh, this is what's available in my family. But with respect to our values, what we stand for, we shouldn't take this kind of thing. And you both agree on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I first said, make sure that you both agree. One person must not have a scintilla of doubt. It will show up. So it's something that you need to both agree on. That look, we don't want this in our family. We're going to stand. I think the second thing you can do in that regard is to enlist someone respectable to your family or to your family, maybe your parents particularly, who can influence your parents' decisions and stand on
What
that.
if your parents are not the one bringing up this?
Okay, extended family. I think parents too. I mean, parents should also love their children
enough
yes,
to take their side.
to take their side and say, look, I want my child to be happy. This is our wedding. This is our event. I want her to be happy. So this is what I'm standing with her for.
But that's not always the case, though.
Unfortunately. But the third thing that can really turn the tide in your favor, that I feel, is prayers. The force of prayer. Now, we as Christians, we endorse this because these are things we stand for, and it also represents our values too. And we know that the spiritual controls the physical.
Yeah.
So we believe that you can transform a situation from an ugly one. We're not just believing it. These are things that we practicalize in our mind.
Yeah.
These are
Even
results
when
we
we wanted to
obtain.
get married.
Yes, we obtain the same results.
Yeah.
You know, we had traditional rights that were contrary to our values.
That
but
we stood.
And we stood it with the forces of prayer, and we got such pleasant results. We couldn't believe it. So that's what we're telling you. We're not just telling you theory, we're telling you practical things that we really did. So I think I should stop there.
Okay, I think my husband has practically said everything. The only thing I would just emphasize, just like I said, again, the reason why I'm re-emphasizing this is because I have been there before. I know people who have been there before. Don't let any amount of pressure or whatever make you succumb to something that goes against something that go against your value, your belief, your peace of mind. Please, it's very, very important. So if you and your spouse will come together, the Bible says that if two of you shall agree upon a thing on earth shall be established in heaven. If you and your spouse will come together to say, no, we do not want this, and now you already know that what you're standing against, it's not like you're being unreasonable. For the traditional rights that had no such spiritual application, of course you've done it, paid bride price and all of those other things, giving all what they asked you to bring and everything. But here now, something that you believe has certain spiritual application, maybe something they are asking you to bring, white clothes for something, sacrifice for something, a particular, you know things like that. So that's what you're studying against. So please, it's important that you and your spouse do not allow anybody to make you put unpleasantness into the beginning of your life. So pray again, declare that this is what we want and this is what we want to see. The heart of kings, the Bible says the heart of kings are in the hands of God. He can toss it to wherever he wants, to do whatever he wants it to do. So please, it's important. It might look like it's taking a little while, your wedding is being delayed 1 or 2 months. Just stay at it. In due time, everything would eventually work together for your good.
Awesome. Awesome.
Okay, guys.
And with that,
That's a wrap.
come to the end of this
Topic.
wonderful topic,
Addressing your fears and limitations
about
about getting married.
So now you can go ahead and get that marriage done. Yes, isn't it? Yes, no. But in case you have any other questions, maybe things you think are bothering questions that was not addressed or not, you need more clarifications, or you have additions to what things that I've said, please you can note them in the comment section.
We'd like to interact.
If they are private, so you can send them to our email in the description section. So I think you should also, if you're new to our channel, please subscribe. Returning visitors, we welcome you. We're glad to have you. Please keep watching, share the channel with others, and share this wisdom with others. Okay, guys, so at this point, we've come to the end of this session, and we would like you to also look forward to our forthcoming series. We have another exciting topic coming up. You don't want to miss that. You really don't want to miss that. So just look out for our subscription. That's why you need to hit the notification button so that you can get updated and then be a part of this. So with that, we've come to the end of this session.
Thank you for staying true.
Yes, so it wasn't easy, but we came pulled through. Alright, so
we come your way again.
We are the Abraham.